What's good, you guys? Daniel Cruz here, back with another episode of Cook with Cruz. So I just had another record that I produced just drop, and that is Paradise by Xuitcase City. So that is what I'm going to be breaking down today. They are a pretty dope duo, and the song that we did came out pretty nice. And just like Replay that I did for Devon Terrell, if you've seen that episode, this song or the beat was built around the vocals, so that was pretty much how I approached making the song here. This one took a while to do, went through a few different ideas and a couple drafts, but ended up coming up with something pretty dope here. If you enjoyed today's episode or find it helpful or inspiring in any way, please leave me a thumbs up on the video. I would definitely appreciate it. Otherwise, let's jump in and see how Paradise by Xuitcase City was made. So if you've heard the song already, you may already know that the guitar was pretty much the main foundation of the record here. So how I approached that was I first came up with a chord progression that fit well with the song, and I translated that into the guitar because I wanted the guitar, just gave it that feel. The guitar did take me a little bit to do. I had to punch in and out. I'm not the greatest guitarist, but I basically just laid out a simple chord progression. That was A flat minor 7th, B major, E flat minor, and E major 7th. So we just got 4 chords going on. Took my time, played it out on the guitar, and this is what it ended up sounding like. So, simple enough, that was the guitar there. So let's go ahead and jump into the mixer and see how I got the guitar to sound like that. We're going to start with the guitar rig at the top here. This is the twin vibrato preset. And then moving down, we have the FabFilter Pro C compressor. This was just to pretty much just compress the guitar to make sure certain parts weren't too loud and in your face. If you can also see here, I'm using the Bite and Sustain BM preset. Next, we have the FabFilter Pro R reverb using the Bright Wide Excitation preset here. I'm going to throw in the stock Fruity Free filter here on the low pass setting. This is something that I use to automate during the verses to kind of filter out the guitar to give the artist more room to breathe during the verses. And last but not least, I threw an EQ on the bottom here, cutting out most of the crazy highs and boosting up the mids a little bit here around 2K. And that pretty much wraps up the effects chain that I had for the guitar. So that is how I got that sound there. And so for the next instrument that I threw in here, came across Pure and Simple and Omnisphere. This is a pretty dope sound that I found kind of semi-recently that I really like. Throwing it into the mixer here, I have Vectomelt. I'm not sure if I covered Vectomelt yet, if I've done it in the videos. But if you see my other ones, you know I like Echo Melt too. That's a big favorite of mine. Vectomelt is like, you can kind of think of it like an Echo Melt 3. It's the same developers that made that one. So it's a pretty dope plugin. You can get some crazy effects out of here. I use the Ripples preset for this one. Moving down the line, Echo Boy Jr., just a simple delay here, and I only turn this on during the verses. This is automated only to turn on during the verses, so this will remain off during the intro and the hooks of the record here, but it will turn on during the verses just to give a little bit more bounce. EQ, I cut out some more of the lows here. Looks like about 150 and below is all cut. Also boosting a little bit around 500. And here's actually a glimpse at movement. If you've seen my other videos, I always explain I have to delete the plugin due to it just doesn't do well. You get a lot of static and I have to render it into audio. I experimented with movement on this patch, but I ended up not liking any of the presets. I kind of liked how it was. So I ended up just having it off throughout the whole song. But for those of you that have been wondering what movement looks like, this is what it is right here. But anyways, I'm going to take this patch and pretty much just layer up the chords, the same chords that we had for the guitar. So right after the intro, we're going to jump right into the hook. This is where pretty much everything is going to come together. Melodically, we're pretty solid on the track, especially as I was going over the acapella. Didn't really want to add too much instrumentation. So the next instrument that I added, and something of course we need, is some bass. Pulled up Scarby pre-bass here. Definitely one of my go-tos. So looking into the mixer for the bass, didn't do anything to it other than my typical sidechain compression on the kick drum. But here's what the bass now sounds like. So there goes our bass for the track here. On the second part of the hook, I do add some piano, really just layering up some chords, trying to make everything sound big and full. So of course we have Keyscape here, LA Custom C7 Ballad. Looking into the mixer, all we really have here is some EQ, cutting everything above 100, and we're also boosting a little bit up here above 1K. So now here goes the piano, again only on the second half of the hook. So there goes our piano right there. Again, just layering up the chords. So that's the base of our melodics. Now we're going to go into the drums. And I kind of did a lot to the drums here, I feel like. But it definitely made everything sound pretty full. So let's go over the drums right here. Okay, so starting off the drums, I'm just going to start off with kick and snare here to keep it simple. So we're all on the same page. Let's go ahead and add our close hats that we got here. Then I'm gonna kind of do some textures with the drums here. I got this this drum loop that I kind of morphed into something crazy. It's very pitched down. It just adds some good textures to the drums, along with this this crash effects I have here. Real good for some background. And then I have a percussive loop right here. Throwing our open hat now. I'm going to layer up our snare with the clap. I also have like a percussion hit going on right here. You can kind of hear it. And then I'm going to layer up a tambourine and a crash together to kind of make our crash here. So these two layered up. And then of course I got my little transitional rises and transitional crashes here. So there it goes. This is the drums for the hook, at least. So there went those drums there. Again, kind of a little bit going on there. Gonna run it back from the intro going into the hook so we can kind of hear how it comes in. So there goes our hook there in full. Now after that, we're going to transition into the first verse of the song. And this is where I kind of change up and add a couple different things here. I'm going to go ahead and start by explaining these automation clips. So we got Echo Boy, which I mentioned earlier. This is hooked onto our soft plucks, which were in the intro. This is going to turn on. It's just going to give some delay to our plucks, give it a little more bounce. And then we got the free filter. This is the low pass filter that's going to come on during the verse here. That's going to go on the guitar. Again, the point of that filter was to pretty much tone down the guitar a bit and leave room for their vocals. So that's going to explain what these two clips are going to be for. I'm also going to introduce a new pluck just for the verses, Pluck and Playtime 2 in Omnisphere. Looking into our mixer, we got some EQ, didn't do nothing crazy, just boosted up around 500 a little bit. And then moving down, we got Echo Boy Jr., just adding some delay. I experimented with a little bit of crystallizer, but didn't really like how it was turning out, so I ended up turning that one off. So with this, I'm just layering up the chords, I'm just introducing a new patch, a new different sound just for the verse. And for the ones that have been following me for a little bit, you may recognize the sound of that pluck. That pluck was used in Quincy's Snuggle Up and also in Devon Terrell's Too Expensive records. So that's one of my favorite patches right there, and I'm using it here again. And now for our bass, for the verse, I'm also going to switch that up a bit. I'm pulling up Bad Booty Bass here in Omnisphere, another one of my go-to bass sounds. Some of you may already know this one is more like a stabbier bass. The purpose of this was to kind of open the beat up a bit for the verses instead of having that sustaining kind of live sounding bass. Into the mixer, again, just left it how it was and then just added a little bit of sidechain compression for the kick drum. There goes our new bass for the verse, and you can already hear we got the guitar filtered out and you can hear our new plucks going on in the background. That's pretty much how our verse is going to be. We also had the drums playing, and looking in here I kept all the drums that we had in the hook minus this texture-ish drum that I had during the hook. That's going to come out, but as you can see, everything is still here. The entire verse here, which is 8 bars, is going to pretty much stay the same minus this small break we had in here until we move into the pre-hook of the song right here. So when I was first going over the acapella to the song, the pre-hook that they had was very chanty and catchy, so I could hear right away as far as the drums went. I'm going to cut a lot of it out, especially the kick drum, and I definitely wanted to keep the clap because that's just how I heard it. And instrumentation wise, we're going to bring our piano back in that played in the hook, and this is the only instrument that is going to play during the pre-hook. It's going to be all driven by the piano here minus pretty much the rhythm of the drums and the bass. So here's what our pre-hook is now going to sound like. So there goes our pre-hook, and right after that we're going to go into the second hook, which means that the beat is pretty much wrapped up now. That's all there is to it. I'll go ahead and turn on the acapella audio clip here so you guys can hear what I was working with and kind of hear the final product. Again, I think I forgot to mention it in the intro. Links will be in the description to the full song. It'll be on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, everything. So definitely go check out the full mastered song. Links will be in the description. But anyways, let's run it back so you guys can hear the song here.
Yeah, I'm so far out of paradise. Yeah, you won't believe what's in front of my eyes. Yeah, I'm counting money, it ain't no surprise. Yeah, that I won't stop till the day I die. Oh yeah, yeah, I'm so far out of paradise. You won't believe what's in front of my eyes. Ooh, I was so low and now I see so high. Finally got my life. Why you so surprised? Why you so surprised? I'm okay. I just got a vacation with my dead ones. Who believe my day will come?
So there it goes right there. Record is all done. Quick fun fact, this record took about 2 days to do, maybe a little more. We went through a few drafts, a few different ideas. I had a completely different guitar melody than what we have right here. But in the end, we all figured it out. It came out really dope. So shout out to Xuitcase City, that is Paradise, out now on all platforms. Links will be in the description for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope it helped or inspired you. If so, please leave a thumbs up for me. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're not already, please subscribe, because next Sunday, guess what? I'm gonna be back with another video just like